going on, ladies and gentlemen? This is the first of the first, but one of many, I can promise you. And this is honestly a long time coming. Welcome to the Flow Show for the love of wrestling. We're your hosts. I am Kwency Jones Go from the Kwency Jones Show, teaming up with none other than Brian Andrew from the Awkward Side Hug podcast. And man, we're here to talk some wrestling, man. It's like again, there's been some crazy stuff going on the past couple of weeks.
Yeah.
By the way, shout out to Young Baka. He will be joining us in hopefully the next coming weeks. Um, but yeah, it's been crazy. Wrestling, I don't know. It's first of all, let me ask you this: how you've been feeling about watching wrestling lately? Because I know, like, you know, we were talking off camera. You said you haven't been you've been keeping up more than actually, like, you know, actually catching it. I mean, do you have that same feeling watching it now that there's all this stuff going on with, you know, the restrictions and no crowds and stuff like that? Because that's something I've been talking to my brother about, but I haven't really asked any other, like, you know, wrestling fan that I know about how they feel about watching the show, if that affects the way they watch the show and enjoy it. I mean, yeah, how's that experience for you now?
To be honest, it's not too much about the lack of crowds and the restrictions. The only restriction I think I have an issue with is that there's maybe less wrestlers available
I
for
agree. Yeah,
for
yeah.
matches because I'll admit that I'm getting a little tired of watching matches that I know the outcome of for an entire like 2 hours. And on Raw, it's
Yeah,
3 hours.
I agree.
So,
Yeah, yeah, especially when like that's the weird thing is like I've been noticing like they've been like using. There was one Raw where I actually like tallied up the amount of like people that were on the show, and all of them were either currently in NXT or came from NXT
mhm,
on the show. And I thought that was really interesting. And then I was thinking about like the amount of people that aren't there and people we're not even thinking about or not even missing on top of the people that were let go. You know what I mean? So it was just like it's weird because it does feel like they're using like half a deck of cards in a sense. You know what I mean? Even with AEW, like
mhm,
there's been certain people where I'm like I had to actually realize I'm like, oh man, these guys are staying either they're in California like us, where they're not really, you know, supposed to be doing anything as far as like public gatherings and stuff like that, or they're in the UK or they're in like New York, and so there's a lot of guys that I'm like. Thankfully this past Dynamite, you know, last night, we actually got to see a lot of those people come back. Even in NXT, I actually got to see the return of Rhea Ripley. Not to get ahead of ourselves, but that was actually kind of cool.
yeah,
Obviously, because her situation was different because she was facing like visa issues. So,
right.
um, you know, we didn't know what was going on with her. If she was like stuck here and was trying to go home, if she could even go home, because I heard Australia was horrible. You know what I mean? As far as again, all the world events going on right now currently. But
Which
yeah,
which
I don't, I mean, yeah, no, go ahead.
Which I was gonna say, which I hope, which I don't think it's gonna be the case, but we'll see. I hope the Io Shirai match wasn't just a placeholder for a Rhea Ripley match with Charlotte, because I really want to see Io Shirai in the title
I
scene.
mean, I really thought, I mean, because, you know, there was, you know, reports before about her wanting to leave, wanting to her
Hmm.
release and stuff like that. For those that know her, I believe it's either her boyfriend or for her fiance outside of wrestling is Evil from New Japan Pro Wrestling. So there was talks about her going back to, you know, Bushi Road, possibly Shimmer. But I think, you know, one of which got bought out already. But she has been happy. You know what I mean? So I thought, you know, with this Charlotte match for the championship. So, you know, obviously it's not so early because she won the Money in the Bank match that wasn't a Money in the Bank match, pretty
Hmm.
much. You know, with the briefcase, but it was like a number contendership with the, you know, the women a couple weeks ago. Uh, I thought this was this was part of her, like, you know, trying to get her to stay. And, you know, obviously you're not thinking Charlotte's going to win, you know, right away, but it is telling, you know, again, I know we're going to get into it a little bit, but, you know, just the way that Charlotte, quote unquote, won or retained, I thought that was telling because they didn't want her to take a clean loss. Io Shirai, I'm talking. So,
Hmm.
but it is interesting to figure out what direction they're going to go with that. I think that's another thing that's been kind of refreshing is watching these shows, you know, because they're not dealing with a full deck of cards, so to speak. There's been a lot of people actually getting some like main roster time and main roster like TV spots and stuff like that.
That's true.
Also in NXT, there's been quite a few people getting some shine. Like, shout out to Jake Atlas, man. I mean, I know people are going to say I ride his coats a lot, but dude, from LA area, Santino's graduate school graduate, freaking booked him obviously more than a couple times for the Rival Pro shows we've had. This guy, I mean, we've known he was on WWE's radar for a while. Finally got the call from NXT, and I've been quite surprised how quick they've been like utilizing him on the show, and even the fact that he's even part of the tournament has been really good. It's been pretty cool to watch, man. That and even seeing Cross finally debut, Chris Bay doing what he's doing over in Impact Wrestling. It's been kind of surreal seeing a lot of these guys that because the scene out here is kind of like crazy right now. It's at a standstill. It's like it's frozen time. You know what I mean? There's like nothing going on. But in that sense, it's cool to see a few guys from hometown, putting on for the hometown, and you seeing guys that are getting their just due, and a lot of stuff that So I thought that was really cool. I mean, as far as the past couple of weeks of wrestling, it's been great watching those individuals get their opportunity, so to speak.
Give me 1 second. I think we're having audio issues or visual issues. Let me stop recording real quick. Let me see. All right, we're back.
All right.
So going back to the, a lot of superstars getting an opportunity.
Yeah.
One that I have a kind of an issue with because I felt like it was super forced was Austin Theory.
I agree.
Being part of this whole, and the thing is, the fact that after WrestleMania, he's still part of the group.
He's still floating around, and it was funny because like what they did, they tried to play it smart where they had just like Andrade come back by himself because he couldn't take part. That's the only reason why Austin Theory even existed on the card is because he was hurt. So when he came back that Raw after, and then you see him and Zelina, and it's not till later in the show they're like, yeah, friends, like now all of a sudden they're like banded together and they're all part of the same crew, and it's just like it was weird because I gave him credit because there was another Raw after that where Zelina was on commentary and they were like asking, like it was weird because they were asking, because that was another thing that pissed me off about Austin Theory was the fact that he already had a qualifying match for the Money in the Bank against Aleister Black, and it's like, okay, he's not going to win, but still, it's like, look, dude, like he hasn't done anything to earn it. You know what I mean? Like I think he had one win the week before against Akira Tozawa, but like if you look at the win-loss column, sorry Akira, I love you, but I mean it's true. They've been using that guy like a pincushion on in terms of like giving out L's or giving putting people over for like the last like main event, Raw and SmackDown. Like the only time he's been winning is like on NXT. It's crazy. So. But even then, I agree with you. I mean, like Austin, and this is not to knock Austin Theory. I don't know enough about him. He's one of those guys, and I say this to Doc, like back when you were a real, back when wrestling was like crazy, and there was actually still like you could walk into a grocery store and there was actual wrestling magazines, not just like WWE magazine, but like Pro Wrestling Illustrated and some other stuff. And you'd be able to go and check out the rankings, and you'd be like, oh, man, who is this guy? He's always on this list, but I don't know his face, but he's always on the top 10 or whatever like that. He's one of those guys where I've heard so much about. Haven't had the opportunity to watch much of Evolve as far as a product until they got featured on the network that one time. And that was probably my first look at him, you know what I mean? He was there, here and there for NXT, and then all of a sudden now he's like fast-tracked to the main roster. And then they said that, during, I had brought up Zelina on commentary because she had said, like, along with how she was able to get this opportunity for him to qualify for Money in the Bank, they even asked, like, what's the nature of his, like, association with everybody else. And he's like, oh, yeah, him and Angel Garza go back. Yeah. And I'm like, is that true? Or is that what they just say? You know what I mean? Like, it's so weird. Especially because they could have probably picked somebody like, not to make it a race thing, but Raul Mendoza, that probably could have benefited from that spot.
The thing is that it is a race thing. So
I mean, it's funny because everyone keeps like, it was funny because that first night where they finally solidified him as like this trio with Zelina, so like kind of like this quartet. They all kept putting up the fist, and everyone's like, "Oh, yeah, you guys don't know the name of this stable? It's called Nation de Domination. And I was like, oh, that's hilarious. I'm like, I mean, because they had like the still shot with the fist raised up. I'm like, that would be, and I was funny for 2 seconds. I was like, oh, they're working. Okay. I understand what this is, but yeah.
It's funny because I don't know if they're trying to keep certain feuds going, but it seems like they're not. Why don't
they usually hit the reset button on like after WrestleMania. That's I don't know. They usually do that. I don't know
why not have Carrillo realize, you know what, I've taken so many losses these guys, maybe I should just join them, and you could sell that. And
I mean, especially because that's his cousin.
Right. And just,
you know what I mean?
You know what? At the end of the day, I'm tired of losing you guys. I'm just going to join you guys. And
that might be good. I mean,
that would have made more sense. And then if anything, if you wanted to restart the feud, you could make it where he, realized he had an opportunity to tag titles at WrestleMania. They lost, and then he was really just trying to get inside to get an advantage on them, or something.
Yeah, that's true.
That's not the perfect way of doing it.
No, but like I can see it where he's like infiltrating just to gain their trust. And
that's if they want to continue that feud. And
I mean, because
Austin Theory is so.
That's actually it really is because like I mean like I granted I've been giving him some kudos, which is like some of his heel work, but he has way too many rest holds in his like repertoire. I don't know who's producing his matches.
The thing is,
but he's been doing a lot of rest holds. Like the thing with Korea that's another reason why that would have worked is the fact that him and his cousin Angel Garza could attack, and not to make it a total like part 2 of the Colognes or anything like that. You know what I mean? But it definitely would have. I think both of them, the fact that they both have that smile and that whole like, hey, I'm this Casanova or as they say, Lothario. They both could. I mean, especially Carrillo, it'd be easy for him to sell the heel because of the fact that he has that smile and that he is always brushing his freaking hair out of his face. You know what I mean? So I think that would have been a little bit more perfect, a little bit more in line, 100%. I mean, as far as like keeping that lineage, aka
because Austin Theory, Austin Theory before he came up to the main roster, all he did was lose to Tommaso Ciampa one time.
Yeah,
and that's it.
Yeah. And I think he lost to a few other people as far as enhancement before they like really like they used to do like before Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish were like officially on the roster, they would do like these little spots where people would come in. Like they made it seem like it was that like, oh, he just had he just popped his head in from Evolve and just said, hey, I'll brought my boots, but now that he's official, I'm like, dude, there must be so many people mad at you right now because I was just thinking that because like there was a promo, and again, I know we're gonna get into it later, but there's a promo that Cameron Grimes cut on NXT, and he was talking about people, times are changing, and everyone's like, there's a lot of pieces moving on the board and stuff. And I couldn't help but think, I'm like, man, like Austin Theory wasn't even there for like a whole year, and he's already in the main roster.
There was a
guys like Cameron Grimes, you know what I mean? Like,
there was a group of people that debuted. And then Austin Theory was like even below them.
Yeah.
And he was there to kind of put people over. And eventually he was when people started moving up or started doing other things, you could tell he was supposed to get his moment. But he never even had even close to an NXT moment.
No, he hasn't any real traction, any build in his character. Like, it's like, I was going to say the fastest main event roster call up before it was probably maybe Nia Jax. Then after that, it was like maybe who else? EC3 possibly, but they did nothing with him. And then like this is just like record breaking. Like,
and it sucks because I'm sure I could get really into him, but right now I'm just not sold.
It's hard too because of that fact. Like, yeah, he's 100% like it's like it's this albatross around his neck, as they say. Where it's like, man, I want to like you, but you haven't earned it. Like, you know what I mean?
And the thing is, like, I know he's an Evolve champion. He's supposed to be legit.
Yeah, and that's all I've heard too is all these things. And I want to believe it, but
I'm sorry, man. You're in a weird tag team, and I'm just not into it. Like,
I mean, I like the music though. I do like his music.
Speaking of music, how do you feel about Johnny Gargano's music?
Oh man, okay, so I was confused. At first, I thought maybe this was like a video package, right? And I was opening up because you saw the graphics appearing on the the Gargano way and all this stuff, and no heart, no soul, and I'm like, oh, okay, this must be like they're gonna they accidentally started the package inside the arena. They're gonna go. I'm like, oh, this is him coming out, Because I was going to bring that up too. He had new gear too. I mean, same more or less, but different colors. You know what I mean? Which I always find it comical whenever like the heel goes for the bright like white colors, like the pure, like what? Who, me? Like I'm an angel. Like, you know. So and Gargano's been playing it pretty well.
This is my thing right now with theme music in the WWE at least, and AEW actually has this issue too. Is this is not the time to be coming up with new theme music because whoever they have producing the music backstage isn't the best. I'm not saying Gargano's music sucks, but
you took them for WWE, right?
Right.
Yeah, because they used to have CFO, but they don't have them anymore. So I don't know who's doing it. And CFO, I mean, they're probably their best one they've made, at least for me. My preference was Undisputed Era's theme song.
That was great.
And there's probably a few after that too. But yeah, when they lost them, I was really surprised.
And I heard CFO wanted to continue working with the WWE, but independently. But
I'm pretty sure because
their contract or something didn't allow it to.
I'm pretty sure there was a situation where they were making some pretty good cuts, and they were like probably either taking some original stuff that they had and editing the shit out of it for somebody where they could probably get more money from it, you know, on the back end as a single or something. Or I can see them like, these are all cool, but you're not letting us own any of this stuff. You know what I mean? Because, you know, WWE's real hands-on with everything that they do. And, I mean, so much so that I forgot what segment it was, but like last year they out of nowhere played like the Val Venus theme song. Like weird flex, but okay. Cool.
It's
but you know, since you brought it up, we can get into NXT if you like.
Yeah, the thing about NXT that I think had somewhat an advantage over AEW this week is I was watching AEW, and every match I felt like I knew who was going to win. It was like a go home show. It was like a go home show, but Double or Nothing's not for like another 3 weeks.
You know, I think what it was like, is this was their first show that they were able to do live since they opened everything back up. So all of a sudden they had more of their, like we saw Nyla Rhodes for the first time ever. So it's like, where's she been? Oh, okay, doing nothing for 2 months. So we're going to bring her in and remind everybody why she looks dominant. So that I got, but because I was talking to Doc about this, my brother was like, yeah, I'm not against the way that they've been showcasing all the big men in AEW. With, you know, the Wardlows, the Brody Lees, and the Lance Archers. And, you know, granted, Lance Archer's had mostly like tournament matches, but here and there he's been having like some just straight squash matches. You know, and I was like wondering like why they're squashing everybody. Like every one of these guys has a squash match. So I was like, you know, yeah, it's showcasing what they can do, but I don't really know if it's doing anything for them in the long run. But
I'll admit, like if this was a regular AEW, Cody could face Joey Janela, that's fine. But I felt like there's too many Cody versus Janela matches on the card today. Like Kazarian versus Moxley, we know how that's going to go. Lance Archer's match, we know how that's going to go.
I mean, that's just, you know, it doesn't even matter who's across the ring from unless it's like a Cody or somebody else. You know what I mean? Yeah, you're right. I mean, with the Joey Janela one, that was more interesting to me only because I haven't seen Joey in a while wrestle, but also like, you know, they try to build him up. They try to build up the match as what it was, as far as like trying to bring up the fact that he did have a win over who was it? Phoenix. And I remember that match because I was like the dark match for when I went to the Bash at the Beach. But like Phoenix got hurt in that match, so like yeah, he won, but like Phoenix got a stinger. You know what I mean? So it was like, oh yeah, I do remember. And then they said I think he got a win over Sean Spears, which. I remember they had a little feud earlier, like probably the later part of the fall. But yeah, I mean, I agree with you. When you look on paper, it's going to be a good match, and I feel like Cody wanted to do it just to help put some shine on Janela. But yeah, it's, you know, I mean, when we look at the rest of the card, I mean, but yeah, Nyla Rose versus a nobody. Not to say nobody, but you know what I mean. We had what? Jungle. Oh no, we had. Well, the no DQ match I found it very entertaining. I'm trying to see what else we had here. I know we had another. Oh yeah, you mentioned the Frankie Kazarian and John Moxley. That was actually a pretty good match, but I mean, at the end of the day, you were just kind of waiting, right? Like more or less.
And the thing is, like, I saw QT Marshall today or last night go through a commercial break. I was like, holy shit.
Right? And the thing is, it's like I was like, wait, but it's not like he went through a commercial break as he was like combating with offensive, like he didn't have
Right?
no offense. He was just getting his ass whipped the whole time. Like he had a
There,
few spurts of like hope, but then it was just like he would just get hammered back down. And I was like,
like
I mean, which mean,
AEW pulls off like the 15-minute squash match to a T.
well, I mean,
Like,
like, because let me ask you about that because a couple weeks ago they had that one match where it was Kenny Omega versus that was it like Austin Angles or something like that,
oh
or
yeah,
Angels or something like
and
that.
that went like 45 minutes. Yeah.
And like, well, but it was like there was a lot of criticism because people were talking about how like the kid not only like took a lot of his offense and was dishing out a lot of offense himself, but like the fact that Kenny allowed him to like kick out of the V trigger. You know what I mean? And there was a lot of people that were talking about that. They were like saying like, well, why would Cody, Kenny do that? And I mean, I mean personally, I don't see them using the kid again, or even I don't even know where the kid will end up. But
Right.
I don't know. It was kind of weird. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of like if Lance Archer went against like one of these guys AEW's been using, and
Mm-hmm.
then like the guy actually like knocks him down, and
It's
you're like, dude, what are you doing? You guys are going to use him again. Like,
there,
what is this for? You know what I mean?
right. There's like they might be just doing the kid a favor, maybe because that was QT Marshall's gym, right, or something like that. So
Oh,
maybe
maybe it's one of his students.
yeah, maybe that's what I was
Possibly. That
but
that would definitely make sense. I mean, with the way that they've
but
been doing stuff.
the AEW sometimes has too much respect for their wrestlers, and sometimes it's just like
Not enough
you're
restraint. Yeah.
you're kind of insulting the audience because we know Kenny Omega is going to win this match. I would much rather see, and this is going into we could go into the rest of the AEW card is like Moxley and Kazarian should have been 5 minutes with the angle at the end, and then if you want
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
20-minute match, put two people against each other who we might not know who wins, and then put some kind of implications into it, like the ladder
Yeah.
match they're gonna do at Double or Nothing.
Yeah. That one's interesting because I was wondering how many people they're going to probably feature in that. And then I'm thinking, well, there's already certain people I would put in there, but they're already featured somewhat on the card.
Which is weird. Like you think
Like
MJF would
like
be in there, right? But
I
he
was gonna
can't.
say like I was thinking him straight away like the next step after the ring, right, is the briefcase, like that's or whatever it is, it's perfect for him. I mean him versus Moxley would be great. I mean obviously to say that Moxley's gonna beat Brody Lee, I'm not here to say that he will or not, but I was kind of surprised with the fact they gave Brody the shot so early, only because of the fact that they knew they had to do something, but I haven't been keeping up, but I guess he's been having a flawless, pretty much, win column ever since he's came to AEW. So maybe he has
That
been rising up the ranks.
that's what I keep thinking. And I'll be honest, I do believe Jericho was supposed to take most of this time off. But I wouldn't be surprised if his tour dates got canceled. So that's why he's like, I'll still wrestle.
Yeah, they did get canceled. I think there was a few he was waiting to figure out because they were in different places that had different restrictions or no restrictions or whatever. But yeah, I think he had postponed a lot of stuff for the summer now. I
So
believe like August.
because if it was up to me, and with the limited amount of what's going on,
Yeah,
Christopher Daniels should have been going against Brody Lee at Double or Nothing. And
yeah.
then
I mean, especially because after he debuted and he like knocked them out, they haven't done
right.
anything after that. Yeah, you're right.
And if they knew what they were doing, see, they already started Jericho versus Matt Hardy, so I guess that's probably gonna happen at Double or Nothing. But Chris Jericho could have had
Possibly.
his rematch if they knew he was.
I was wondering. Yeah, I was thinking. I was like, I wouldn't have been mad at having the rematch, or even having. No, I mean, because Kenny he's still tag champ, so I imagine there's going to be some sort of tag team defense somewhere because we haven't seen Hangman anywhere. But I was hoping Mox would either win it at Double or Nothing, only because it was like a year anniversary from when he first debuted, technically from
Mm-hmm.
AEW. But the fact that he came in and then now he's coming in as champ, him versus Jericho would probably be the best case scenario because I believe it was what Kenny versus Jericho, and then
Mm-hmm.
Jericho was cutting the promo before he came out. Before he
Mm-hmm.
started, he came out during the crowd and debuted, so it would have made sense. You know what I mean?
I got I got a question for you,
Yeah, for sure.
and because I'll admit, probably over the last couple of weeks, I haven't been keeping up with the news too much. But I remember a
Sure.
rumor a while back that John Moxley's contract had like a opt-out clause or something like that.
That's true.
A
Yeah.
year out, and I was
Yeah.
thinking if they think he's going to use the opt-out clause, they could put the title on Brody Lee.
Oh man. You know what? I mean, that's true. I mean, I'll admit, like, there's a lot of I do keep up with a lot of his interviews and a lot of stuff like blurbs, whatever he's doing with the press and stuff like that. Along with a lot of other people from AEW. But with him, I don't get the gist that he's unhappy there. So I don't think that. And I don't know. It's weird because I feel like the way AEW does business, they're like real straight up. I mean, because one thing I've noticed straight away from them and WWE is there's no leaks in AEW. Like, there's no dirt sheet stuff unless they're quoting something somebody said or it's a tweet or something. You know what I mean? But there's really no leaks. They're really real tight. Like, you know, as far as like information in AEW. So I feel like it would, if that was something we'd know about it. I mean, I don't think we'd have John Moxley like putting AEW over so much, but that'd be hilarious, to be honest. I mean, I couldn't imagine where he would be unhappy because I mean, a year from when he started, he's already the champ. You know what I mean? So,
right.
and he's still.
If I'm a betting man, I'm gonna John Moxley's gonna win.
I would think he. And the thing is I'm just excited because I love Brody. I've been wanting so much better for Brody, and him and Brody have had wars over that IC title in the past in WWE. So, but to see Brody compete, so to speak, in the main, I mean, I guess main event level, he's going to be in the main event for Double or Nothing and going for the world championship, like the actual.
I just don't want to see him eat a pin, and I think that they're kind of booking themselves in a corner. But
I feel like something has to happen. I'm thinking something. There's going to be something because I don't know what's going to happen after Double or Nothing. Last year, it was they had the Fighter Fest and the Fight for the Fallen. I don't know if they're going to do those again this year. I could see Fight for the Fallen being something that they do. I think that kind of might be their like tailor-made version of like tribute to the troops, sort of, which is not a bad thing. You know what I mean? But I don't know what's going to happen between Double or Nothing in May, and then we got All Out in August. Was that 2-3 months?
right.
So I'm thinking there's something that has to happen. You know what I mean? I don't think they want Brody to lose so soon. I'm a fan of his vignettes. How do you feel about the stuff he's been doing as far as like his vignettes?
I've been a big fan.
I've been a fan as well.
Usually, I'll admit I'm not a big person on the when AEW or companies try to go super anti WWE. Like,
oh yeah, like make it like
I
won't Bischoff.
I won't do it on this episode, but Cody is really good at it.
Yeah, no, definitely.
And I'm not a huge fan of Cody at times.
No, when he because I mean there was like I think the few were that he did it at the expense of trying to illustrate the differences. Where he's like, this is an invisible wall. I can go up there and kick your ass. And he was talking to Jericho like, back in the beginning stages of Dynamite. That one was cool. But yeah, there are some times where I'm like, all right, you've already made the statement. You've already like kind of staked your claim as wanting to be the alternative. You don't have to say their name in order to prove it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Or because my brother's been kind of the same way. He's been more like he wants to see more away from the WWE's references. He wants to see Brody just flourish without all that. He thinks he's able to. I know he's able to. But at the same time, I'm not entirely against it because it's kind of like, again, the last time we saw someone make light of like Vince McMahon in the state of war or competition, competitive television, is Eric Bischoff. And he used to go out there with the signs. He would grab a sign out the crowd that says Vince fears ratings or Vince fears Eric or so he would actually pour stuff on some gasoline on the fire, so to speak. But with this, I think it's still minimal. I think it's he's kind of parodying him in a sense where it's entertaining.
Well, the thing is, the difference for me is Brody. I feel like this is a very personal thing for him.
I believe so.
Whereas when Cody or sometimes AEW as a whole does it, it's more so it's just to take a shot.
Yeah. I mean, Yeah, I mean, like that Britt Baker one, they could have just let it go, but they had to do
Mm,
they had to do it
right.
twice. I was like,
So,
all right, guys.
even though we were supposed to start NXT, I guess we might as well finish AEW because we're already.
Oh yeah, well yeah, but I mean, yeah. Let me look at my notes here for it. Yeah, we did get a win. Well, first of all, I want to say finally, we got nobody kicking out of the Crossroads. I've been getting pissed off about that. I
Mm-hmm.
like the Crossroads as his finish, but he's been letting too many people either kick out or he'll do it twice. Just
There's just too much respect in AEW sometimes.
I know, man. Like yeah, it's like that's cool. You're not gonna kill my finish. What do you mean?
Yeah, like I don't know. Which I'll admit, like I think the story is gonna be good, but I'm not. The TNT Championship match is not what I
Well,
wanted it
yeah,
to
you know
be.
what, and I know we keep starting. So I got to ask you because I'll let you know how I feel. Like, well, who did you want to see in the finals? And I mean, and if you had a thought, who did you want to see crowned in
If
that position?
if if we're going based on the bracket,
Yeah. Oh, as opposed to like adding people that weren't involved.
right? Because like
Yeah, true.
personally, it should be Darby Allin versus Sammy in the finals.
You
But
know, it's funny because I thought a better. I wasn't mad at that, but I figured we just saw that at Revolution, so I thought the better match would have been, especially for Darby, would have been Darby versus Lance Archer.
that would have been a very good
And I mean
story.
that way, if they're not gonna give Lance the L, Darby went through hell to not to give it to him. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Which he's perfectly capable of doing, especially in the name of a championship on the line. I thought, I mean, they've done so many things to help build my Darby, and I hate that he keep like the match he just had with Cody. They had a good match, but the fact that again they even had Taz kind of like revisited where he said, "Oh, you beat yourself," and I'm
Right.
like, I didn't like that was the finish at
There's
all.
a
Like,
there was a lot of combinations of finals that I would have liked. One of
who?
them that I thought would have been really interesting was if they found a way to make Lance Archer more of a side feud to Cody and not the main feud.
Mm.
Cody versus Dustin in the finals a year after last year's match.
Oh, that would have been great. I didn't even
And
think about that. Yeah, you're
and
right.
it's more of a career match because Dustin keeps saying, "This is it. This is what I need." And
Especially if he keeps he's been saying that and he's continually
and then
moving on and winning the matches
Cody can't go for the AEW championship, so this championship's really important to him.
that ties in
And there's a
beautifully.
lot of story there that I feel
Yeah,
like, and a lot of emotion. And I think with like last year's match was dope without a build.
yeah, exactly. It was
So
just the whole
you
attitude, everything. But yeah, with this was something on the line for both guys and it's legitimate.
and then you could have
Yeah,
Lance Archer attack whoever wins at the end of the
immediately,
match,
immediately, yeah,
and
because
then
he hates the Rhodes family anyways. Yeah,
you can start that off going forward, and then at like
yeah,
some A level dynamite or whatever, you could do the match with Lance Archer.
yeah.
And then you can even build it up where, like, we'll just say Cody wins, but Dustin faces Lance Archer in between the 2 to 3 months, and then all out Cody
I,
versus Lance Archer.
I can see that if say like Cody wins and then he get they're doing the whole hug thing and then Dustin's hugging him and then he sees Lance Archer hit the ring and he like pushes Cody out the way and just like takes the bullet for him.
Hmm.
That's how you branch that off a little bit. Cody's
So
just like, what?
to me, I guess, and this might be going back to the predictable card that we saw in AEW, is I felt the TNT Championship tournament was too predictable at the beginning,
Yeah,
and
well, a lot of people saw both names at the end of the brackets and they're like, okay, so this is just a device to get this to work. And I was thinking not, but only because every guy actually ended up looking really good in the matches. Even Kip Sabian, he got me starting to get on his train a little bit. One thing like that's been the biggest complaint is everyone's like thinking, oh, so this whole thing is just so that these two can start this feud. So a lot of people were kind of like, I don't want to say infuriated, but they were kind of just like over it because they just really wanted to see someone. They thought that, I guess, in no other capacity that they really were going to have someone else outside of those two win or get a shot. And this is only becoming from a lot of the AEW hopefuls that are just, obviously with everything going on, they understand, but they've been waiting for AEW to have some homegrown stars
mm-hmm.
outside the ex-WWE star power coming in and doing that. So I understand their frustrations on that. Like I said, whether I thought maybe another person that could the two people I thought that could use it were Darby for sure and Sean Spears, and only because I'm for sure a Ty Dillinger. Mark, I was gonna say as much as you have the shirt on, I love that guy. Always thought he needed more when he was on the main roster. I was happy when he finally got on the main roster, but they,
and the thing is, I know he's been on Dark, and some people might not have seen him wrestle since All Out.
no,
But you give him a win
yeah,
over Cody in the first
yeah.
round. That's all he needs, and then he get.
I was thinking like that's enough to legitimize. Like Cody doesn't need the win. Cody is doing. He's fighting against random guys and giving them the rub almost every other week. So like who's Sean Spears to give the rub to? You know what I mean?
Right.
Especially giving him some nice momentum for people to actually believe that he could actually make it to the finals. I thought maybe him versus Darby. I mean that wouldn't have worked because they're on the same side of the bracket, but something, you know what I mean? I thought, it's like I said, Darby or him, I think could have used it the most. Like you said, Sean Spears has been featured a lot on Dark, and I mean, but lately he has been getting his little squash enhancement matches here and there. He said he did just get the approval from Brett for the sharpshooter, so that's awesome to know. I think would give him a direction outside of, hey, I'm the guy that hit Cody in the head almost a year ago. Because he can't just keep hanging on to that. He needs something else, and it doesn't help that he doesn't have Tully with him because I love him and Tully together. That's the package, you know what I mean? So,
and the thing is with this title, I could see it from both angles. Like you look at it from one angle, and it's like you put on someone like Darby, then the title kind of just becomes the title given to people who can't get in the world title picture. But the thing is also,
true.
You put it on Cody, and you're kind of like, well, you put on Cody or Lance Archer, you can make the case that Lance Archer is also someone who you don't feel like you get in the world title picture right now, at least. And it is supposed to be a mid-card belt, so it's you're trying to find this balance of it should be like Cody in the finals, but he loses to a Darby Allin or something.
Yeah,
but
where it makes somebody because of
the
who
story's
he
not going
is.
in that direction.
Yeah, I mean, because even a Kip Sabian would have done well too, as far as having that spot. And it's not that I want to see Kip Sabian as the first mid card champion, but I think it helps being somebody. I mean, because we already had the well known name of Jericho have the world championship for the first time. People have been clamoring for a mid card championship and give other guys something to do instead of just pretty much weaving in and out of the card as much as they can. Because again, I mean, some of these guys aren't like getting world title. I mean, the only guys I think they got world championship opportunities on TV were like Scorpio Sky, Jungle Boy.
And then at the major pay-per-views, it's only been former WWE people.
Exactly.
And I'm sure that wasn't the plan, but it's just been working that way.
Yeah, and I think it's just based on the
Cody
star
technically.
power.
Cody technically is. Jericho.
Yeah.
Then you
John
had Moxley, and now you're adding Brody Lee. And Jake Hager just a couple weeks ago. Like I know we're not counting TV, but
no, but that's true. No, but even I did count TV when I was talking about Jungle Boy and Scorpio Sky as well. But yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, I mean, they definitely need to do something because again, they can't keep building continuously and simultaneously these three beasts and have them not one of them start aiming towards the top. You know what I mean? So
and. It's funny because I know we're probably criticizing AEW a lot because I'll be honest, AEW's been probably the best wrestling program all year.
Well, I was going to say in terms of how they've been doing as far as presenting their product, with all the conditions, I think they've been doing WWE followed suit. They had to change their camera angles based on what they did. You know what I mean? So, it's already kind of telling since they're the ones who are supposed to be the veterans how to do this shit. But, yeah, I mean, it's not to, criticize the whole. I think a lot of it is it's easy to criticize only because that's one thing I noticed is there wasn't a whole lot of storyline development during this whole entire time. And to be honest, it's kind of impossible without a whole lot of pre-tapes or pre-taped interviews or segments. You can't have a whole lot of people getting involved in a whole lot due to the distancing and all that stuff. And which I was thinking, I was like, man, they might get in trouble with those creepers because that's definitely not. That's definitely more than 10 guys. And
this is
more than
Florida
6 feet.
Man. Yeah, Florida it doesn't give a shit. There was a kid hanging out during the street fight.
Well, what was interesting to me is Tony had recently said that
if Florida would have shut down, they would have had no problem shutting down. Like he said that he didn't himself deem AEW essential. But when the whole thing went with, WWE and how they're like, oh, wrestling's great. And they're like, all right, I guess we're going to keep going. But, yeah, I thought that was interesting because a lot of people were actually, pretty much, poking holes in AEW's logic as far as them and the way that they were having, like, different talents at ringside and how they were still continuously putting on shows. Because, obviously WWE being the longstanding, again, Titan, they're going to get more of the spotlight in that whole thing. So it is worth noting that they were like, no, I mean, we were down to shut down too. Because like I heard that in the Salt Lake City show, Tony Khan had told everyone from here on out, all participation is 100% voluntary.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to be here, cool. If not, don't worry. They said they weren't even like worried about filming that much until they found out they were going to be shut down for a few weeks. So like, all right, we'll just film as much as we can and then let it ride.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't like it wasn't like a WWE where they were like the show must go on and we're gonna do WrestleMania and we're gonna do it 2 nights and we're gonna just sensationalize the whole thing
Mm-hmm.
and act like nothing's going on outside these doors. So but as far as AEW, we got the return of Nyla Rose. We also got the return of MJF, who was also announced for Double or Nothing in a match versus Jungle Boy, which I thought was pretty interesting.
Which both of them could be in that ladder match. So I'm intrigued on where.
That's what I was thinking at the same time. Like, them two for sure should have been in that ladder. Because I'm thinking, like, there's no story there. I mean, look, you guys have, 18 days, so like 2.5 weeks
Mm-hmm.
left to build. So, I mean, you don't have to just throw that on there. You guys can start building some shit.
You can even make it where they lose qualifier matches, so you just match them up against each other or something.
That's
true. If you
I mean,
really don't want them, but the thing is, like, it's weird how much they're protecting MJF, but at the same time,
well, he's only been on TV so many times. Yeah,
it's just like they're protecting him, but at the same time, like I've seen Cody Rhodes wrestle every week for the last 3 months.
Which he should be more protected. But then the same could be same about Jericho,
right?
Because he's been he might appear. See, they're really good because he'll just appear and say something or attack somebody, but he's not active. You know what I mean? So they've been really good as far as how they've been using him. One thing I thought that was worth bringing up for sure. Well, how'd you feel about the MJF promo?
The content was good. The whole video package itself was. I feel like they can just do that in the arena.
Well, yeah, it was really 100% because when I first saw him sitting down, I'm like, oh, okay, this is kind of cool. And I was like 2 seconds in, I was like, this is a green screen.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, why'd they have him sitting in a green screen? I'm like, they couldn't just film him in front of like the skylight outside in Jacksonville or something. I was like,
and correct me if I'm wrong, they end up transitioning into an MJF interview right after.
That was weird, right? Like that was weird because I was like, why do it like he's not there? And then even before they did the MJF promo, there was a Sean Spears promo where he was criticizing Cody and his decision to not throw in the towel, during a Dustin Rose match, which I was like, okay, so they're going. I'm like, this is probably just another tune-up match before Cody ends up going against, because they've been doing that. They've been putting both guys in tune-up matches leading up to their final one-on-one. So I figured probably next week we'll get Spears and Cody. But I thought it was weird how they had Spears promo, commercial, came back, MJF promo, and then they go to both these guys at ringside. Mm-hmm. I was like, all right.
You're right.
Okay. I love their segment.
The content's good. Like MJF is a very good promo. The thing is, I'm never looking forward to MJF matches. Not saying he's bad. It's just I'm never like, man, I really need to see that MJF match.
Man, to be honest, it's like I've been wanting MJF matches so I can take notes on what he does because I have him on my freaking 2K roster, and I don't know anything he does outside of a freaking Fujiwara armbar and the crossroads sometimes. You know what I mean? Other than that, I don't have anything on. Like, now I have like a top 10 moves list, and that's it. I'm like, no, I need to see more of him. I'm like, damn, I don't have any. I suppose I can go back to his MLW shit, but I'm like, I'm trying to figure out what's the current, recent moveset looking like. You know what I mean? But yeah, you're right. He's barely featured, but we have been getting a good look at Wardlow, which I've been digging. Because you got to build the monster as well. You know what I mean? So that's been interesting. But one thing I thought that was worth bringing up for sure. We did bring up Brody Lee earlier. We did have the Dark Order attack John Moxley. Pretty much John Moxley and SCU try to get involved after the match with himself and Kazarian. What do you think about that number 10? You think he's an ex-WWE guy?
He looks like it, right?
Because I'm like, so he hasn't bad, but I was thinking he may be that same guy that, a couple of weeks ago they had that one segment where it was a guy, they didn't show his face, but he was like online checking out like all these like articles about this football star who got hurt. And then like, his girlfriend's cheating on him on the, freaking, you hear a guy in the background like, oh, you're still talking to that loser? And then he's talking to, he logs on the darkorder.com or joindarkorder.com, and then he has that interview with Brody. So I was like wondering, I wonder if this is that guy because he had like the knee brace. So I'm like, maybe this is the accident or whatever the injury was that took him off, playing pro ball or whatever the fuck. But yeah, it was interesting because their creepers this week actually looked like legit, I don't want to say tough guys, but guys. Yeah, you know what I mean? They weren't just a bunch of like guys sitting on the couch. You're like, hey, go down to your local freaking Walmart to get a long sleeve black shirt and let's go. You know what I mean? But I didn't see it coming. They were just talking about whoever was going to be the person to challenge Moxley. Again, I thought it was a little too early unless they're going to use these next, again, 2.5 weeks to help build it. But yeah, I was surprised that Brody was the one that was going to get the choice. I wonder if that was, you think Mox had anything to do with that?
Well, this is my thing about it. If they were going to do this, they should have did it right off the bat. Like maybe in the Hager match, maybe after the Hager match or something. Because I believe Brody Lee was in the building when those were happening.
Possibly. I know that the Hager match was pre-taped though.
Yeah, you're right. So
but it's not like they weren't there for the pre-tape. They probably were there, but just like not in sight. You know what I mean? For the empty arena effect of it.
And I believe, the thing is, I think they were trying to build Hager versus Moxley exclusively, and then Brody Lee debuted.
That one I think had a little bit more to do with the fact that he had the movie coming out too, the MMA fighter movie. So, and I didn't even know that until like maybe a week or two after they were talking about it. I was like, wait, what? I was like, okay, that explains why. He came to the ring dressed the way he was. They were showing his MMA training. But I wasn't mad at the build. That was a good build as far as making Jake Hager look like a star.
I liked it. It's just like, if they were going to do the Brody Lee Moxley thing, if you had Brody Lee come into the company going straight for the title, it's one thing. But if you have a squash matching randomly and then he's like, oh, now I want the title, I feel like it doesn't make sense because there's so many other people and it's too soon in the process.
And that's why I was thinking that if Lance Archer wins the TNT Championship, it would have been too soon as well. Because I was thinking – because even, not to contradict AEW, but – excuse me, I thought that it was kind of weird that we just had 8 hand-picked guys and there was no qualifications.
Right.
There was no reasoning. There's no rhyme to the reason as to why it was these 8 people that were in the and additionally, there was also no other people that weren't included, that weren't like, there was no outcry like, oh, how come I wasn't, you know what I mean? Which I thought it was kind of weird too. I mean, again, you have Cody in there, which everyone keeps having this like fantasy that he's just booking himself and all these things. It just makes it seem like it even more, even though we know that's not the case. But I felt like they should have addressed it at the least if they weren't going to at least have some type of qualifying, feature for it. But because Lance came in, same thing, a bunch of squash matches, and then now all of a sudden he's on his way. I think he had 2 or 3 matches, maybe 2 matches before the tournament.
Right.
And one was against who?
Marco Stunt.
Marco Stunt, and then There was somebody before him, right?
Wasn't it like an enhancement talent guy? I thought Marco was the first one.
No, you're right. Marco, well, yeah, he freaking chokeslammed Marco like out of the ring and shit. Yeah.
And then in the next TNT, Marco's just in the crowd smiling, enjoying.
Yeah. Oh, dude, that killed me. I was like, dude, why are you smiling? You almost died. Like,
right?
freaking, like showed up to work the next day like nothing happened, like it's Groundhog Day and shit.
The thing is, with the AEW booking, I know they're limited, but I'm gonna trust them. I'm gonna trust that these corners they're putting themselves in, they're gonna get out of them.
Yeah. I think the one thing I can definitely have trust in is the fact that, and this is based on a lot of stuff, like interviews and stuff that were done preceding the start of AEW or part of like from the announcement from, because they announced it this time last year, like January, or start of 2019 is when they had the announcement. But there were several like interviews and different like quotes where they were saying like they had months and months of like they have a chat that's strictly for booking. So hearing that, I was like, hearing that they already had several like months in advance already planned out, that kind of gave me a little comfort, because everyone was like, oh, that's like the basketball players running a basketball league. Everyone's going to want to start the game, you know what I mean? And I get it, but there's been very little I've disagreed with in terms of like winning decisions, outside of me just being a fan of a certain person and just wanting to see them win. Like for instance, the at All Out, it was Hangman Page versus Chris Jericho for the first person to win the AEW championship. I wanted Hangman Page.
Yeah,
I thought it was a good. I thought it was a good look for him. He built a lot of equity along his way, from the bleeding to like all the matches he's been doing, from like the knee injury leading into him winning the Battle Royale, a Double or Nothing. Like he was building a lot of steam. But when I was there, that crowd wanted Jericho to win. And after he won, I can understand why it was better for him to win. You know what I mean? So, again, there's very little I disagree with. Certain logic terms, yeah, you know what I mean? But that's because the only other way we have to go on is the WWE way, which at the same time, it's not always right either. You know what I mean? It's just the only other way we know as the standard. So, but yeah, I've been giving them plenty of like leeway as far. I mean, they haven't got. I know guys that don't watch this shit. They refuse to. Like their whole statement is they had a mission statement and Cody lied. So I don't like liars. So I'm like, what specifically? Like you try to pry it out of them and they don't even want to talk about it. It's like this traumatic situation that they had. That I'm like, dude, calm down.
And you know what? They might have even considered Double or Nothing might be getting canceled. And then right now they're probably like, you know what? We are going to put it on. So
I thought it was.
Let's put some cards. Let's put a card together.
I certainly assumed it was canceled. I mean, we bought tickets to go, and when everything was closing down, especially with Vegas being a strong talking point amongst all those areas, as far as what was being done and the restrictions being created, I was like, we're not gonna. I doubt it, right? But then I heard, oh yeah, they're saying May might be the time things start to move along a little bit and open up. I'm like, okay. And then there was like, yeah, like probably like May 30th. I'm like, son of a bitch. That's like exactly a week
right
after. So it's like, all right, cool. But I think a lot of fans probably thought, because they had the Blood and Guts advertised, that it wasn't able to come to fruition. I mean, there's several other things. Like I feel bad about Brody having the debut in front of nobody, which should have been in Rochester, which I think was the week before Blood and Guts, which should have been in New Jersey. There's a lot of stuff, but they're still in their infant stages, so it's okay for them to make, I don't want to say mistakes, but have these like obstacles, so to speak.
And it's not like WWE is doing much better. It's
no,
just,
exactly. I mean, me and my brother joked, like, we're like, yo, this could very well be, I mean, with everything that WWE has going on, lawsuits amongst everything else, of all this negative publicity, it's like, wouldn't it be like ironic if this is the time, like, not the end of WWE, but this is like the tide turning, like the moment where like the momentum shifts like drastically, you know what I mean? And I'm not naive. I know that AEW style doesn't appeal to everybody, but it's also naive to say that there's not a whole lot of people that are drawn to it as a result of looking for an alternative from WWE. But then there's also those people that are super naive on both sides, and they will still defend WWE despite the content being put out, and just will, they're the whole. I mean, not to call out Baca here, but they're the ones who are like, oh, the AEW fanboys must be creaming their pants because this and that and all this derogatory shit. Just because we're like, dude, there's so much more. Like I just feel like AEW just is the wrestling fans with open minds, and WWE has become that golden era. It's wrestling. Not it's real. It's still real to me, damn it, style. But like it's just like when people say this is WWE style, it's not just the in ring, it's the product as well.
Yeah, to be honest, wrestling at Daly's Place is a lot more visually enjoyable than the Performance Center, to be honest. Like, and the thing is, NXT set itself apart by not looking like SmackDown and Raw, but now it looks like SmackDown and Raw. And like going into like NXT yesterday though, like the matches that I felt like were really cool were the interim cruiserweight matches, because those were the only matches I really felt like, you know what, maybe somebody's gonna pull off a win here. Like maybe Gallagher's gonna get this win.
I want to just admit that these matches have actually been more enjoyable than I thought.
Mm-hmm.
The format obviously takes after the G1 tournament style. I didn't know how the presentation was going to look with a WWE execution, and I think we all know what I mean by that. But yeah, I've been pleasantly surprised. I never thought I'd be like, oh man, let me watch this Tony Nese match, and that's not a knock on Tony Nese, but outside of watching him work his way up to WrestleMania, against who was it?
Was it Buddy Murphy?
Buddy Murphy, thank you. And watching him, he had like a triple threat after that. He defended it against like Drew Gulak and Buddy Murphy again or something. Or was it Akira Tozawa? It doesn't matter. But I don't know a whole lot about these guys, because WWE, they do that thing where they just hire a bunch of guys and they don't do a whole lot of. They don't have enough time in the day to showcase everybody. You know what I mean? So a lot of these guys have been kind of swept under the rug after the whole 205 Live inclusion in the Cruiserweight Classic and stuff like that. So this has been pretty good. I mean, especially for guys like Isaiah Scott, which is one of my favorites for sure. Jake Atlas, again, was talking about him earlier. And then obviously they're building this whole Drake Maverick story. What do you think about that? Because there's a lot of people that are saying that it's kind of in bad taste.
I'll be honest. Like, I'm in a more like let's wait and see kind of thing.
That's where I'm at too. Before like kind of condemning it, like I get where people are coming from, because they're thinking like, whereas this programming that they insist on carrying on and filming live is all under the guise of serving as entertainment and distraction from the real world of people losing their jobs, and then you got a guy on screen who's like already in danger of losing his job, and then they're having him literally fight for his livelihood. So that's why a lot of people are, and I get it, I understand. I'm on the same side of the fence as you are, which is like neither, and that's just waiting to see what happens. Yeah,
right.
If so, I wouldn't be like, if it was a ruse. I mean, it's hard for me to say that I'd be surprised, because I've expected the least from WWE in the past, which is their fault, to be honest. Right. They had a tag team match with Shawn Michaels with God. I'm just saying, like that was ridiculous. Complete with pyro and all kinds of craziness. But I'm interested to see where it goes.
Right.
Because that's the thing. Even if it's not, and he ends up he does win his job back, no one would ever know. Nobody would ever know what's real and what's not. You know what I mean? I think it may be a matter of the fact that he released that video, that emotional video, and WWE had no idea he had that much support. And when they saw the amount of emotion, I mean, it's WWE. They're real. They pop on ratings. Which is why there's certain segments that have longer legs than most, and it's only because of the fact that they watch this for almost the full 10 minutes. Like, yeah, sometimes we're watching to see, this is really bad. Is this really going to get worse? Oh wow, it's gotten worse. It's not that we like it,
Right.
So, but I don't know.
Okay, so I'll admit I haven't been too up to date with my NXT lately.
I'm
How
not gonna
about
lie, dude. Like AEW's been kind of winning when it comes to like what I want to watch first.
right?
I'm like, what did I leave on? Like, what happened last week? What did I leave last on? I'm like, no, I want to see what's up with
I
AEW.
start, I think, every wrestling show, and then by 15 minutes in, something else comes up, and I never go back to watch it. And then it's like a week goes by, and I'm like, well, I don't want to watch this week's because I didn't watch last week's. So
For
it
NXT.
gets,
Well, the part that was hard for me for NXT is the fact that it's on TV, and it's
mm,
not that yeah, it's more easily accessible, but I just miss having to like tune into the network and just the only commercials were like the WWE commercials
that's true.
and not having to wait, like them not having to worry about how much time they have left on a commercial break. Because most times they have like what 2 or 3, not
Hmm.
that much. You know what I mean? One always like promoting whatever's coming up as far as like TV or pay-per-views, but I kind of miss that. Like I told Doc before, like it doesn't feel the same to me. I don't have the
Hmm.
same feeling I once did. I'm like, oh man, I gotta watch NXT. Like, oh, let me log on real quick. I already, fuck it. I'll play it. I'll play it live. Even though if I miss the first 5 minutes. You know what I mean? I don't get the same feeling as I did before, and it's
When
not
it,
a knock on the talent at all. I think it's just the presentation, possibly.
yeah, I agree. Like, I think it's I'm in the same boat, especially when there's a lot of main roster crossover. I tend to
Yeah,
get a little
yeah.
bit
Weirded out, right? Like,
like sometimes I look at certain things and I'm like, I don't think that was Triple H's idea.
yeah, no, 100%. There's quite a few where you're like, so Trips wouldn't have had her do that, or that wouldn't have happened if that was up to Triple H. But
Like the whole
um,
Charlotte thing. Like the thing is, I kind of get it, but at the same time,
as far as her winning the championship,
yeah, yeah. Like
yeah,
I get it, but at the same time, I'm like, that's not very NXT though.
it is weird because it's like I was thinking the same thing. I was like, so it appears they're gonna use her to help push these other women on the roster, which is what I was thinking as well. But it's weird that she's still going back and forth between like the main roster. Like she appeared on Raw, I
Hmm.
think twice, and I'm like, why are you gonna appear on Raw when there's no other NXT? I mean, unless you're gonna feature an NXT Championship match on Raw,
Which,
but it kind of kills it, the
right,
exclusivity of it, because it's like it's not like an NXT person can go up to them. It's not like Rhea Ripley's still hanging out on Raw. You know what I
right.
mean? After like she had like her title, that championship was her like credentials to even get on the show. But now that
Hmm.
she doesn't have it, it's not like she's still going back. I mean, it's just it's kind of I don't know that portion of it kind of kills it for me. I'm not against the matchups they've been doing, but it did kill it. Yeah, we'll jump ahead. I mean, they had the match with her and Io Shirai. I was not a fan of the finish at all. I
Oh,
was
not
really
at all.
I was kind of. I
To be
mean,
honest, okay, I don't want to. This is a very touchy subject, but when that Velveteen Dream and Adam Cole were on the same card, I was like, "There's no way a Velveteen Dream is going over. There's just no
no,
way." But
no
there was
way.
a
Yeah,
small part of me that was like, you know what, Io Shirai can maybe beat Charlotte, and I was invested to that extent. And then just to have it finish
yeah.
like that, I was like, "Come on."
Yeah, that part I want. I mean, because I was like, if she doesn't, she's gonna look damn good losing,
Hmm.
which is what she needs. And again, this is also playing off, backpacking earlier off the idea of the fact that they're doing this to kind of help appease Io Shirai's demands or whatever in attempts to not have her leave.
And the WWE should take advantage that there's no wrestling in Japan right now.
Yeah, 100%. They should
So
really put. I mean,
it's not like she
more
has
or
anything to go
less.
back for except for her husband.
Yeah,
So
100%, dude.
so if you want
Yeah.
if she's gonna be there and you want to strap the belt to her,
I mean,
go
if
for it.
not her, I mean, I know that they've been featuring Asuka a lot more, which has been great for me because I love Asuka, but they're not doing anything with her. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? At least I mean, I feel the same way because with Io Shirai was just like watching this match again with the thought that it was going to be just better, to be honest. I felt like it just started building, and then all of a sudden she just got a kendo stick out of nowhere for no reason.
Yeah, it
Um,
didn't even hit the final stretch of the match.
no, not at all. And it was really weird
Io Shirai wasn't even
because
beating her up that bad.
no, not at all. That's my thing is it wasn't like she was getting killed. Like it was like they had like the video package in the beginning where like the worst that she said was like the castle holds the beautiful queen. I'm gonna destroy it. But it's like, other than that, you didn't have a whole lot of like Charlotte like acting like she was intimidated by her at all. I mean, if anything, Charlotte's just been running her mouth as she always does. But it's like, for someone that runs her mouth as she always does, that's why I was like, back to the kendo stick. I was like, isn't that like she did that Survivor Series against Ronda Rousey?
Mm-hmm.
So I thought it was really weird. Or it could have been done purposely, because they have been trying to hide or doing, some smooth Easter eggs with Ronda Rousey involved the last couple of weeks. So I don't know. I don't know.
What would actually be more interesting, but it would be very anti NXT. Like it would be for the NXT title, but it would be on Raw, if this makes sense. That Becky's never won the NXT title.
Oh, that's true.
So if Becky loses the Raw title, which I think she should, because it's run its course.
It's been a year, yeah.
It's if she challenged Charlotte for the NXT championship, I think that would be pretty interesting. But I wouldn't make it
like winner takes all.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I don't. It's just, the thing is, like, Becky ran her course with the Raw title. I don't like that Charlotte has the NXT title. If you just want to do like a very big like NXT Becky versus Charlotte on NXT Wednesday, like you build it on Raw or something, but you had the match on Wednesday. Yeah. I don't know.
Well, I mean, especially we were just talking about how Charlotte is floating on both shows, so it's definitely possible to build it. You know what I mean? So,
and that would have been a really solid like Money in the Bank kind of match, right? Where you're not.
I was surprised because, we might as well get into Money in the Bank too before I do talk about one more thing or a few more things about NXT. But I thought it was weird that I feel like it kind of ruined Money in the Bank this year. The fact that they're doing them simultaneously. Did you hear about this?
Yeah, and I actually don't even think the matches, like, I'm intrigued, but I don't think the matches should even have been. This pay-per-view shouldn't even have been happening. Like, you could postpone this pay-per-view.
I mean, I remember like right after Mania, I think during the night one, they had a promotion for it on the network. I'm like, what? Then they just said that they're doing this so they can take a time off, and now they're talking about, hey, don't forget we got Money in the Bank in May. I'm like, what? Like, what? So that was a surprise for me, just off the rip. The concept I'm not giving up on just yet, because that's the intrigue for me as well. But the fact that it's simultaneous, and the fact that there's only 3 championship matches, the Universal Championship, the World Championship, and the SmackDown Women's, I thought it was weird not to have Becky on the card, because then we know for sure that whoever wins the Money in the Bank is either not going to be on Raw, or it's for sure going to be someone from Raw. Just so, because they keep tying in, Becky Lynch is going to, whoever it is, she's going to address the next night on Raw. Whoever wins the Money in the Bank. I'm like, well, what if she's on SmackDown and doesn't even want to even fuck with her? You know what I mean? Like, right. She's like, no, I just want to take out Bayley. I mean, I feel like it has to be from someone from Raw, unless they're going to do this wild card rule again, which I pray that we don't, hopefully. So,
which I'm not okay. I might take this back. So I'm not going to say this. They should have just not have the rosters during the quarantine, and then when the quarantine gets lifted, they could just redraft. Because I'd rather,
especially with the fact that they let a lot of people go.
Yeah, just
that would have been fair enough.
And just put on the best matches on Raw, put on the best matches on SmackDown until this is over. Like, don't force it. We don't need to have Bray Wyatt versus Braun Strowman at the moment. I'm intrigued a little bit by it, but if it's just gonna ruin Bray Wyatt's momentum after the Firefly Funhouse match, then I'm not interested.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's where I was at too, because I was thinking. I mean, because there's a lot of people that are on the fence about that, but you know what? Well, we'll get into some Money in the Bank predictions, but before we do, I wanted to ask you, what do you think about the debut of Karrion Kross and his whole presentation?
I liked it. I'm not a big fan of her singing throughout it, but that's one of those things that it's kind of nitpicky.
Was she singing or was she lip syncing?
It was lip syncing.
Okay, I was hoping, because I was like, I didn't know her to be a singer, but it is different. I think it'd take some getting used to. I did like when the song broke down. That was pretty awesome. And just, I think one of the things I liked was and I don't know if this was on purpose, was how they had the smoke still in the ring when he was wrestling. I thought that was pretty dope. It could have been they just didn't dissipate fast enough for as long as the match was going to be, so I have no idea. But if that's something that they start doing, I wouldn't mind it. I thought it was pretty good. I was on the fence about the Carrion name. I mean, I know what it means. I've read it in, like, you know, surprise, surprise books before. But I've kind of known what it was. I believe they talk about it in Lord of the Flies. That's probably why I remember so freaking much.
Well, I already felt like they couldn't use the word killer, at least on the main roster. So I was like,
that's what was weird for me, because I'm like, they can't use kill, but it's like they have like Psycho Killer with Tommaso Ciampa, but they don't really call him that. The crowd does. They had female talent named Killer Kelly at one point, who was doing like an MMA gimmick, but then I think she got let go. I don't know. It's weird. It's just like that whole the War Raiders, but they can't be the War Raiders. But we got the Kabuki Warriors, but it's totally different. Like type of weird shit.
I don't know.
I knew they weren't. I thought maybe they were just going to call them Cross.
That's what I was thinking too.
The Carrion, I thought it was kind of cool. The only reason I brought that up was they had the video with like a faint flapping of wings that kept getting closer and closer. I thought that was pretty good as far as imagery. But yeah, I mean, I would think just based on the presentation alone, he's going to be treated as a big freaking deal.
Oh, he might be the person that takes the title off. Cool.
I'm thinking so.
I was thinking eventually Riddle or somebody would make their way up the ladder, or maybe
I mean,
but
we would probably love for it to be Velveteen.
I wouldn't be surprised
outside of the circumstances, but I mean,
they need to take Velveteen Dream off TV for at least.
Well, I was surprised that he's not. I was surprised he wasn't getting the Enzo treatment. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, I'll just say let's be glad that he had the match against Adam Cole in an empty arena, because I can't imagine how that crowd would have been with him there. So, which is possibly one of the reasons probably why they're keeping him on TV. Since the crowd can't sway what's going on or what's being said. So
was this show was live, right?
NXT?
Was it not live?
I don't know. Actually, I'm not too sure. I think they may have been. I think they may have both been live.
Okay, so
for the first time, because they had that whole. It was just big news that they can go back to being live.
I could see moving forward if Velveteen Dream is kind of just not on TV.
I would hope so.
I think.
I mean, but see, and that was the last thing I want to ask you about NXT. What do you make of the fact that they've been having Dexter Lumis getting involved in his matches?
I know it's a little weird because it doesn't make sense, but at the same time it does, because they're both like weird. But I think it's more likely going to spawn into a Lumis versus Undisputed Era thing than it's going to be a Velveteen and Lumis thing.
I was thinking that, but I was like, is that too early for Lumis, or are they just the right amount of entertaining heels to battle his like serious, like stoic, like psycho-ness? You know what I mean?
I don't know. I could see him being like the pestering, like the boogeyman kind of thing. Like just pestering him more so. Like I don't see him having like a serious match with anybody anytime soon. But who knows? Maybe because like who knows? Triple H might announce that it's Lumis versus Cole for the title in 2 weeks. So
yeah, I mean, we've gotten. I mean, not to bring him up in a negative light, but in the past we've had Jordan Miles getting a shot at him, which was I thought that was too soon. So who knows? I mean, I'm not against it. I don't think he'll win. I mean, it's also worth noting that I think with the way that he's been crawling under the ring and just kind of having like this mystique to him, I think this may be, if they're not already going in this direction, a golden opportunity for WWE or NXT, whoever's doing the writing right now. They could really push him as their like serious version of like an Orange Cassidy. if that makes sense.
You're
As
not.
far as like, you had said like, the pestering and stuff like that. He could just start showing up, like, because there's been times where there's a backstage brawl in AEW and they open the door and he's just there.
Mm-hmm.
Or there's another match where Orange is not even involved in a match, and then they go to grab a ladder and he's like on the ladder. You know what I mean?
There would be.
I could see something like that.
There's potential where Dexter is serious. He himself is serious, but as the crowd, we find it funny. And I think there is like some lightning in the bottle there,
I think so.
Because if he's just randomly like, because the thing is like he could be serious, but the Undisputed Era could sell it, and it's a huge thing. Like the lights are off, and they're cutting a promo, a local promo, whatever, in the backstage area. They turn the lights back on, and Loomis is like right behind them, and they all freak out, run away.
And that's what I'm saying, like something like that, where it's like why it would work is because I always look at Undisputed as like the jocks in high school, and Loomis could be the weird kid that everyone picks on, but they're low key scared of because they don't know he's a wild card. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that can make for pretty good TV. You're right.
And then Loomis versus like a Roderick Strong or something makes sense.
Yeah. Because that's one thing I was talking to Doc about with Loomis is he not only has that look and the music and everything, and the name and the like the little things he does, little idiosyncrasies and the characteristics he has to the character. But a guy like that with a build like his is even more kind of terrifying because it's like if you were trapped in a room with that guy, and then all you know is all you hear about him, and then he like freaking you see him and he's like jacked like him. You're like, and he's tatted up, and it's like what the like, dude, I'm not making it out alive. Like this guy, he's going to be a little bit too creative with this beatdown. I don't know how this is going to go, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm digging what they're doing with him. I did think it was a little bit of not too much too soon, but I was kind of surprised. But then again, he's been on. We haven't seen Loomis since with that top prospect tournament for NXT.
Yeah.
Which has been the case with a lot of guys too. So, but yeah, I'm not mad at it. Maybe this is how we get him involved and splinter him into the equation and eventually write Velveteen off TV for a while, hopefully. But
which is like, I think NXT is in a holding period of not knowing what to do with Adam Cole's title, but also keeping Undisputed Era somewhat relevant.
So strong,
that Velveteen Dream. And then Loomis kind of sneaking was the plan, but now I don't think they should have Velveteen Dream at all. Now, if they do, and maybe there is some kind of weird bond where like Loomis is the silent type, and Velveteen Dream is this like weird sexual guy, and then you always had this weird sexual vibe from Loomis.
Tension,
too,
like he always has these underlining like undertones of things he says, especially when you got a guy like Loomis and the faces he could make in like response to that. Because I was the only other time I would liken that, like, because I remember one time me and Doc were like, I think after their feud that these two should team as a tag team, and that was Velveteen and Aleister Black, and we thought that would have got over really big just based on the difference of personalities, kind of like what the Broserweights are doing right now.
I got a question for you on that.
Yeah.
What's going on
with the Broserweights?
Is it because Pete Dunne is in Europe? But why is Timothy Thatcher?
So what they did a couple weeks ago is there was
I totally missed this.
The Undisputed Era. They invoked their rematch for the titles, but while Riddle had the championships and was he lives in Florida, so he can wrestle. Pete Dunne isn't. He's stuck in the UK.
Did NXT address this?
Yeah. So what they did is they had Matt Riddle come out for the match, and then he addressed Pete Dunne, who I think called on Skype or something. So they had the footage on the screen of him saying I know I can't be there, but I handpicked somebody that'll represent me in my absence, and that's how they brought in Timothy Thatcher, pretty much.
So is it going to be like a Freebird role if Dunne comes back?
That's what I was going to say, because they did there's rumors that part of the reason Charlotte won the NXT Championship from Rhea Ripley is because Rhea Ripley's work visa ran out.
Mm-hmm.
Which there's truth to that, but I don't know how much as far as what influenced what. The work visa thing, that's true, but you know what I mean. But a lot of people were saying, why didn't they do the same, like with the Broserweights? Why didn't they just have them pretty much, have to turn over the belts until they're able to defend them? I think because they know they have an entertaining thing going with the Broserweight, so this is their attempt to keep it going.
Mm-hmm.
The only other light I can shed on that is there's been times where Riddle has tried to give Thatcher the other belt, and Thatcher won't take it. Like he'll continuously say like I haven't earned it, like it's not mine, but I'll be placeholder for it for right now. So I'm guessing they're allowing it. You know what I mean? Obviously, since they have another tag. They were already defended the tag titles once as that tandem. They have another one going. Against who is it again? Imperium. Yeah, which they whooped their ass last week. But yeah, I don't know. Like, did you watch last week where they had the newly bro show?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I thought it was entertaining, but I thought it was weird because they don't usually do stuff like that on NXT. Like that was a total Raw segment.
I noticed Riddle gets some of these weird main roster things, right? And
yeah, you're right.
I don't know if it's because Riddle's embracing it or Vince is like in Triple H's ear, like, hey, if you think this Riddle guy is legit, why don't we get him some main roster stuff to do? Like,
kind of testing him a little bit.
Yeah, because
I could see that. Especially with all the shit around his name with Brock and Goldberg and shit. He's like, well, who the fuck is this guy?
Right.
There is reports that he actually just talked to Vince not too long ago, and he assured him he didn't have heat with the people who have mattered. He may have heat with other people who just are not a fan of his or the way he does stuff. But as far as like people who are making the wrong people pissed off, he's not doing that. So,
so what's left on NXT? Is it just Finn Balor?
Yeah, I was gonna ask you how you feel. I don't know how I felt about him coming out and beating up Cameron Grimes. I'm not mad if they're gonna set a matchup for them next week if that's what they're doing, but I thought it made Cameron Grimes look like a bitch.
I don't think the whole thing, because the promo he cut beforehand was not bad, and then Finn Balor's there, and if Cameron Grimes kind of looked shocked, that would have been fine. But the fact that he tried to be like, "Hey man, that's not, I'm not trying to do."
No, I just finished with him. I'm not trying to do nothing. Yeah, that's why I was like, "Come on, dude, you're a pro wrestler though." You're a technical savage, but you're over here talking.
I'm not a fan. We'll see. I trust NXT a little bit, but I'm not a fan of the Finn Balor stuff right now. But I think it's because in my brain, I was going to see him versus Walter, and that's not happening anymore.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, everything that they did leading up to the stuff with Imperium, like, I love the video package they did. There was that episode of NXT where they had, like, most of it was just nothing but video packages. It was, like, the first hour was, like, detailing the entire anthology of Gargano and Ciampa, and then they had this one with Finn, and I loved it because he finally it was him narrating it, so it was kind of him telling his own story about why he came back to NXT, because there was never a real clear-cut reason. He just said, I'm back, and then turned heel, and then everyone just kind of said, oh, it was a demotion or maybe whatever, everyone had their own narrative on it. That was, everything they were doing with that, I loved, because that was when he was doing the stuff with Gargano. I can't remember who else he put down after Gargano, but he started stuff with Imperium, but yeah, I definitely want to see that. I definitely wanted them to pick that up, but obviously with the flight and travel restrictions, everything's at a standstill over there right now. Or else, right. Jordan Devlin wouldn't be watching everyone fight for a belt that's clearly his. But I like the promo. I honestly was kind of disappointed that we didn't get the answer of who it was. I'm hoping it's Walter that attacked him.
Well, we'll see. Like,
because the only other person I thought that would be worth it is what? Cross, maybe?
Yeah. it has to be someone worth it though, and I think that's my the concerning thing to me because I feel like we're gonna find out it's like Kona Reeves or some shit. Like,
Dude, it's funny you say that because I was thinking, I'm like, I mean, in my head, I'm like, I don't think it's gonna be like Kona Reeves or anybody, but I didn't even say it out loud. I think he just said that. I'm just like, yeah, I don't think he's gonna. I mean, because I liked how he said like, oh, playbook 101, take out the guy and then get the push. But that big push you're looking for is going to be nothing but a squash. So it's been kind of interesting the way that they've been letting them kind of use insider terminology here. Yeah, I mean, other than that, we did have the NXT Championship match, which we did talk about before. I think Cole winning was the right move.
Just with everything going on.
Yeah. And also, I think if he would have lost, okay, say nothing's going on, and Dream they would have pulled the trigger on Dream winning, it would have been for nothing with no crowd there. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I mean, because I feel like
who's to say what the crowd's gonna look like when there is a crowd though? Because with everything that's happened with Velveteen Dream.
Yeah, true.
So
well, I mean, I guess if that wasn't something that's currently going on, it would have been a different situation. But
that's how I feel with Drew McIntyre.
Yeah, I do.
Because
I feel the same way about Keith Lee actually too, because I feel like a lot of his run right now is suffering because there is no crowd behind him. He's doing all these matches and all these spots for nobody cheering.
It hurts my heart when I see it when they announce Adam Cole and then there's no baby behind him.
Well, did you notice that when he came out for his championship match, they added the audience effect to do the boom. I thought we were gonna get the same for the baby, but
and then he just goes like this, and then
it's just him. It's crickets. Just. I mean, he could have just showed up with the crew, and they could have filled in, right? Like,
which AEW does a really good job of doing, which I thought NXT could pick up. Like Undisputed Era could do the baby behind him. Like,
yes, it's funny because I don't know why, but AEW, they got a lot of people talking about the way that they have the talent in the crowd. I don't think it's that big. I don't think it's that big of a deal. Like the way people are, because people were tripping about it because they were like talking about, oh, that's not 6 feet, that's not practicing like safe social distancing. And I'm like, man, I get it, but even if you move them 6 feet apart, you're still gonna find something to complain about. You know what I mean?
Right.
I didn't mind it because I felt like it was just the boys being there for the boys.
I think it's a huge difference, and I kind of wish NXT or just WWE in general kind of at least implemented it a little bit. Like you don't have to implement it in its entirety, but you could have the New Day in the crowd watching tag team matches.
And that wouldn't hurt them. I mean, if they had a few main roster guys, that actually would help them a lot. I mean, it would also help tie in the fact that a lot of these guys are getting main roster TV time. You know what I mean? As opposed to like, oh, this is Denzel Dejournay once again, and I'm just going to lose for the millionth time with the worst name ever. I'm pretty sure it's a shoot name, but bless you.
So let's. You want to wrap it up with the AEW main event?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, before that, we need to talk about Jake the Snake.
Oh yeah, thank you. I was going to bring that up because I thought that was an awesome look. And to go back to it, we did have QT Marshall taking on Lance Archer,
which had a commercial break.
Well, yeah, I was going to say with commercial break and not a whole lot of back and forth, just mostly back.
That's going to be my all-time. When people say, "What's your all-time favorite AEW moment?" It's going to be like, I watch a QT Marshall squash match with a commercial break. And you would never. And yeah, I knew it was going to happen, but I didn't see that commercial break coming. That's for damn sure. AEW is so good at the 15-minute squash match.
That's 2 for 2 now, man. I mean, but after we did have a Brandy promo before the match where she finally it was like a vignette where she finally addressed Jake the Snake and all the stuff he's been saying with calling her Caesar's Cleopatra and Bill's Monica. So I think she said keep my name out your old dirty mouth, which I was like, all right, for sure, cool. Just stay out of as long as you stay out of the ring. So
right. I don't know what it is, and maybe this is my deal with Cody too. It's when Brandy was in the Indies by Cody's side, I really liked it. For some reason, her in AEW, I don't know if it's because she sometimes is Cody's wife, sometimes she's the Brandy or the Brandy
Officer, yeah,
officer or whatever.
yeah.
It's just like I'm just not sold, and I just don't care.
It is one of those things where it's like, okay, so you're either, and I hate to say it's like you're either the wife or the branding officer, but you can't play wrestler, right? But it's not like it's not coming off like that, like to be a dick about it. But it's like it'd been different if we saw glimpses of it, like in WWE before she got released or something. But she is essentially picking this up, and it's like weird to see her automatically, just because. And it's not how it is, but it appears this way. That just because of who her husband is, now because he's in high-profile positions on the card, on the pay-per-view matches, she automatically has, her pass to be there too, and possibly get physically involved. And a lot of people are like, "Nah, dude, that's not. We don't fuck with that." So, but I don't believe it's intentional. I believe she really does have she wants to be better and she wants to contribute to the business in more ways than what she's doing. But I think they should just have her train off camera until they think that she can really benefit from being on. I mean, she's been on TV already and she had bad ones, you know what I mean? So now that she's already been through that experience, take her to QT's school or whatever and have her just brush up on some things. Have Dustin getting in the ring with her, you know what I mean? I think she could benefit with Dustin.
Right.
But yeah, we did have, after the match, a moment in the match, we've been seeing Britt Baker getting involved with these Louboutin heel attacks. She'll hit like anyone she's not feeling. I think last time it was Cody last week. So we did have Brandy intervene and throw the shoe and just like chuck it into like a whole nother like empty arena row. And which prompted Britt Baker at the end after Lance Archer getting the win over QT Marshall to jump the barricade and hit a DDT actually, which I thought, I was like, oh, okay, I see what's going on here. I was like, is she gonna join? But I was like, maybe not. Maybe she doesn't need to. But the fact that she hit a DDT on Brandy and then she threw her into the ring. Then because that was the one thing I was like, yo, where'd Jake go? Because I noticed Jake disappeared like right away.
Right. The very first thing I thought was Macho Man, and I was like, and then all of a sudden, it's okay. So he brings the snake out, and I feel like the snake was not doing what he wanted it to do. And
I don't know. I felt like it was what does it usually do? Doesn't it just usually crawl over you? Not so much.
To me, it looked fine. It was
I thought it was okay.
And but he kept on trying to reorganize it. And
that's true. That's true.
And then he just he just gets in like a missionary position.
Yeah, 100%. Like he's just like, I don't know if he was doing that to try to get the snake to do something, like to intimidate the snake, or like, hey, I'm behind you and try to get it straightened up or something. But yeah, I don't know if that was that or that just her trying to. I mean, it's not so far off from when like Randy Orton DDT like Stephanie McMahon and like kissed her. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it wasn't too far off, but I enjoyed it. First post WWE snake attack, so that was cool.
I enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. But just in the current climate where the world is at today, I thought it was just very interesting that they would go for something like that.
As far as him on top of her, the imagery of that, yeah, I totally understand that.
But yeah, I'm okay with it as long as everybody else is okay with it.
I think when it gets brought up, it's gonna be more based. It hinges more on the responsibility of people who know what this is and they're used to it. This is nothing they're gonna take. I mean, I guess outside the Macho Man, take an actual threat,
Right.
But yeah, I thought it was a good way to, because there was because in that same promo that Brandy cut, it was, let me guess, you're gonna say something to get me out, then you're gonna have me get cornered, and then have Cody come out, and then you're gonna attack him from behind, like, bad guy 101. No, we move different ways. Like, this is a whole different plot. We don't even do that stuff anymore. So with her running her mouth that way, I thought this was logically a good way to still make it personal.
I agree.
In the way that we only know Jake can. So I thought that part of it was great. But we also did, as we wind down here, We had the no DQ tag match. I posted about it earlier. I just had to give kudos to Matt Hardy for his rendition of the Three Faces of Foley, or
That
in
was
his
really
case,
good.
the Faces of Heart. I can't. Again, it's one of those things where I can't get over though the fact that if there was a crowd, how much that would have been. They would have popped on that shit. You know what I mean? He came out in the new gear, which I imagine is the Damascus version. Then he came back out as like Hardy Boys Matt Hardy.
Mm-hmm.
And then he got thrown into like with the ice chest at one
Mm-hmm.
point by Jericho, and then he pops out the ice chest as a broken Matt Hardy. And then he
That was so good.
commandeers a freaking cart.
And then that scene where he's chasing Sammy Guevara on it.
God, dude, like the fact, like, what did I write down? I think I said it was like total like Jurassic Park chase scene, also like Indiana Jones, giant boulder type of shit. Like it was like, and Sammy played it so well. I love right before he took off from the car too. When he yelled at the cameraman, he's like, "Document these events." I was like, that killed me. I was like, wait, what? What is he about to do? And then almost kills Jericho, and then almost kills. The part that I loved about it was the fact that they filmed it in a way where when he picked up Omega, he drives by, and they made sure that they did the U-E, that like the whole U-turn off camera.
Mm-hmm.
So when it all you saw were the headlights, you're like, wait, what? And then he looks back. Yeah.
It was so good.
And then there's I don't know why I love this so much. There was Jericho who had like a cone. He just he takes the cone and puts it on his head. He starts going, hee.
Dude,
I was like, only Jericho can make me laugh at something like this. You know what I mean?
There was a scene where they took like the wet floor sign or whatever.
Oh yeah,
and it shattered on somebody.
Dude, I was like, okay, so that wasn't kayfabe. They're gonna have to pay for that.
No, like Chris Jericho must be in so much pain. Like,
I was thinking that too. I was like, yeah, that's just nothing but like hardened plastic just snapping on your back. And then I think he did like that suplex to Kenny on the like that guardrail, but there was like those little like hinges on the front that he didn't see and landed on it. I was like, but that moonsault off the cherry picker was ridiculous.
Dude, I did not think he was gonna land that.
No, I was thinking, I was like, dude, I think you're gonna crash this table. Like, I don't know if you have enough clearance, but dude, maybe if he didn't turn it on and raise it a little bit, maybe he wouldn't have made it. But maybe because he was able to give himself some height, he could have like jumped out a little bit more. But I'll tell you, my favorite part was at the end when they, obviously Inner Circle won, but we did get finally the Inner Circle all together back in the same spot. They've been doing the bubbly bunch and everybody having the quarantine and stuff like that, mostly because of Proud and Powerful being in New York. So it was good seeing them all together. I thought that it was smart how if you think about it, they did like slow reveals on everybody. They had obviously the Sex Gods out there, and then they had Jake Hager, who I thought it was smart after like Sammy got knocked out or he got taken out to the table. He had Hager pretty much like his impromptu partner helping to beat those guys up. So the way he got involved was good. And then the way that PNP got involved at the end, they had pretty much at the end, they're all like throwing up the middle fingers with the screen in the back. I thought that was great. I thought that was, for it being their first live show back, I thought that was probably the one of the better endings they could have went with.
Oh, yeah, I agree. I probably wish it kind of went on the football field a little bit more.
Yeah, I was thinking they would have. No lie, I thought that maybe they were going to hit the field and then they were going to cut to like some pre-taped like segments on the field, like earlier or the night before or something, where they got. I thought that would have been great too, because I mean, when you think about it, they don't have a crowd, so they don't even have to, afford. They don't have to like pretty much make up a crowd, like and try to make it seem like there's some continuity between the live crowd on each shot. But if they would have went a little bit, like they should have all gotten that car and drove onto the field. Yeah, that would have been hilarious at the end. And then he got him in a powerbomb on top of that cart too.
Dude, he hit that so hard.
Yeah, dude. I thought that was just me. I was like, dude, he didn't really get that much air, but he fell on that pretty hard, dude.
Yeah.
Like, man, but
that was a very good main event. I was probably a lot more entertained with NXT the first hour and a half of NXT.
Yeah.
More so than AEW, but then AEW's last half an hour was so much better than NXT's last half an hour.
Yeah, no, yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, and the thing is, NXT they try very hard to anchor their stuff because they had what the two championship matches
Mm-hmm.
advertised, and of course we could always expect the interim cruiserweight tournament matches. But yeah, I mean, I don't know who I could say had the stronger show. I think more content wise, maybe possibly NXT, but I felt like AEW had a stronger finish.
I do feel like NXT is now at a point though, like even though they're starting a lot of storylines with like Finn Balor and Imperium and stuff like that with
Yeah,
the Broserweights.
yeah,
Uh, this was like a chapter ending episode. I don't think Velveteen Dream's coming back.
I
Like
don't
if
think so.
he
And I think this is the best way to write him off without making it a big deal.
just like he lost the championship match, he's just not going to be around. You know, make it seem like he's thinking about losing.
Yeah,
But so it seems like I'm excited for NXT because we're going to see a new challenger for Adam Cole's title.
yeah. Who do you think it's going to be? I mean, I know you mentioned Cross.
I think it's too soon for Cross.
Yeah, and I mean that would be essentially be like a heel versus heel. I think.
I don't know what Imperium's status is, like if they're going to stay in Florida for a while. Because if Imperium beats the Broserweights, I don't know if that counts because it's Thatcher. I would like to see Riddle and Cole for the title, especially in no crowds. They would have a very good, solid,
They have history.
hard hitting match.
Yeah, they definitely have history. So
I would say Keith Lee, but Keith Lee's got the North American title.
I was gonna say somebody like a Dijakovic maybe wouldn't be bad.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he needs a little bit more personality. As far as being the babyface in that situation.
Do you watch Going in Raw?
No, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
They make fun of Dijakovic that he always eats Arby's or something.
Why? Why is it Arby's?
I don't know. And they're always like, "Yeah, I'm gonna beat Johnny Gargano tonight, and I'm gonna get some Arby's afterwards." I always think of him and Arby's now.
Is that like the feast your eyes is like the feast of like he's feasting on Arby's sandwiches?
Mm-hmm.
That's hilarious. I gotta watch that and figure out what the insider is on that one. Freaking Charger running down a little bit.
I don't know. Yeah, we should probably wrap this up. But I'm trying to think. I don't know. I guess if I had to pick someone, I'm trying to think of someone who my go-to right now would be Riddle. You would think it might be Ciampa or Gargano, but they've already had their shots. So
yeah, I mean, Ciampa lost. It wasn't a clean loss, but he lost. I don't know if he's looking for redemption or if he's looking to get back at Cross at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think that's probably where they're going to go.
I feel like there's somebody staring me in the face, and I can't think of it right now.
Well, I feel like there's somebody that they maybe haven't featured. I mean, I wouldn't be mad if it was Finn.
Yeah, Finn would work, but unless Undisputed Era is the mystery attacker.
Yeah, I mean, that's very true, too. I mean, like I said, the only person I could think of it being is like Walter, possibly.
Mm-hmm.
But someone that big doesn't attack you and you don't know. So
That's
I don't know. Maybe a possible heel turn.
Yeah.
Possibly.
You know what? Maybe it could be like Roderick Strong or something.
Oh, Roderick Strong turning on Cole to win the championship?
Maybe.
I can see that. Or you like Roderick Strong attacking Finn Balor?
Cool. I meant like maybe Roderick Strong faces Cole for the title.
Oh, yeah.
Or maybe Roderick Strong is the mystery attacker for Finn Balor, and that leads to Finn Balor facing Cole.
That could be it. I mean, it seems like they keep using Roderick Strong as the guy that gets you to. He's like the gatekeeper of Adam Cole. So
I'm trying. I feel like there's somebody on the roster staring me in the face right now, and I can't think of it. But the thing is, I'm trying to think of people who are not in the UK either, because like.
I think the logical choice everyone would pick is Gargano, but I think we keep forgetting he's like heel.
Mm-hmm.
He's doing his own thing.
He's a heel, unless you book it Undisputed as a face.
I can see Pete Dunne.
Yeah, but I figured if Pete Dunne's there, then might as well just use him for the tag title picture.
Yeah. Shit, I don't know. It's not going to be
I can see somebody else
Drake
having,
Maverick.
I can see somebody else having a title match soon, but I don't think the actual next challenger is got to be someone big.
Yeah.
Unless you just have Keith Lee drop the title to Damian Priest or something and move on to the world title picture.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, again, I hate it because, like, Dijakovic, even in his match, they have to bring up Keith Lee. I'm like, he's not even in the match.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's, like, forever, like, going to be brought up with him. So, it would be a good change of pace if it was Dijakovic after the Arby's run, you know what I mean? You know, we could finally get him away from Keith Lee and talk seriously about him as a competitor. But I don't know. Give me a few weeks. I'll let you know.
Yeah, I need to look at that roster on Wikipedia and then come back to you.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm looking. I'm like, is there anyone that's quarantining right now? I don't think so. You know, it's
like it seems like they have the whole roster.
I mean, I feel like everyone lives in Florida that goes to the NXT. You know, the developmental. They usually have them
That's why they're all on Raw
Florida
too.
anyways. Yeah, exactly. You know, so I don't know.
Let's see here.
Oh, it's gonna be Eric Bugenhagen. You familiar?
Yeah. Didn't he?
They need to show him, dude. I need more Bugs in the show.
Right.
I need a little bit more Bugs. That's what I need.
Let's see.
But,
I feel like I'm gonna look this up, and I feel like there's gonna be someone staring me right in the face. Let's see.
Like you said, Cross is too early.
Like I could see him do Cross maybe in 2 takeover cycles, even though there's no takeovers right now.
Yeah, I can see that.
It has to be like Matt Riddle. Let him drop the titles to Imperium, and then
he's the only one that, babyface wise, he's the only one that's over enough outside of Ciampa.
Because some of these guys are in the cruiserweight thing, and it's just like, yeah, and Matt Riddle is a babyface. Unless they could get like,
I mean, the only person that they would have to build, someone from their mid card, like maybe like a Isaiah Scott or something,
right?
Or I mean, we had brought up already like the Dijakovics and the Keith Lees, so that'd be one of them.
A cool like TV match for the title would be like Oni Lorcan. Just like a like an underdog.
I like Oni Lorcan, but he I don't know what they're doing with him. I like him teaming with Danny Burch, but outside of that, if they're not going to give him the titles, then I don't know what they're going to do. You know? Which I think they deserve it.
What about a Killian Dane?
I don't think he's over enough.
I'm not
but
interested.
He is another good name,
but it's there. I don't know. Maybe you know what? A good one. If they get him back on TV, Tyler Breeze versus Adam Cole for the NXT.
I'm not against that at all.
If they could get Tyler Breeze back on TV.
They would have to seriously build him for it though, not like last time where, you know. Oh shit! Hold on. My bad. Yeah, my because I'm recording on my other laptop and I don't have my charger.
Okay. Well, we can just wrap it up.
And that has been the first edition and not the last. I can assure you that. And hopefully we'll have some friends next time. This has been the Flow Show. For the love of wrestling, again, we've been your hosts. I am Kwency Jones Go from the Kwency Jones Show podcast. And, of course, Brian Andrew from the Awkward Side Hug podcast as well. Want to let them know where they can follow you?
At the Awkward Side Hug on Instagram.
Everywhere, huh?
That's all we have right now. Oh, we have a YouTube channel called The Awkward Side Hug.
There you go. Make sure you follow them on YouTube. We have a YouTube as well. Don't have a whole lot going on, but if you like to follow, we appreciate it. But hit us up. We're going to be available everywhere we can. Again, it's the first time we're doing this, but feel free to follow me and everything I'm doing at the Kwency Jones Show at everywhere. Yeah, that is everywhere, except for Facebook. They're hating on me right now, man. Yeah, disabled my account, both of them, unfortunately.
Oh, really? Is it because you're posting videos that are like trademark or something?
Well, I posted something that AEW posted, and every time I do that, they always like with a quickness, they snatch me up, and I get thrown in Facebook jail. But hopefully, I'll have some good news in the next couple of weeks. Okay. But see you guys next Wednesday as we cover the Wednesday Night Wars again. This has been the Flow Show.
All right.